Hi guys, Mike here. 10 years in Taiwan. I wanted to talk to you guys about something. It's a long phrase, but you speak with charm, you speak with skill, you do the work, but they love your accent, but ignore your insight. I don't know if you guys feel that, but it kind of hits hard. You work really hard in Taiwan as a foreigner. Maybe even if you learn the language, but still, there's just something there that's kind of like this gap that they don't really take seriously. And I've kind of felt that, but I wasn't even really able to explain it very well and articulate it for a long time because I was just thinking, well, why is it that there's something there where I just can't feel like I can be myself. And I know that sounds like really weird and vague, but it's true. It's true. So first point here is accent as entertainment, not expertise. So foreigners are often praised for their cute or cool accents, especially in English, but that admiration rarely translates into respect for their ideas and lived experience. Even just yesterday, I had like this weird conversation, and I don't know if it's like a listening problem or whatever, but I was talking with somebody, and I asked them, do you want me to do this at 4:30? She said, I just told you blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you didn't tell me the time, right? But it's weird how they kind of just get defensive right away or just not listening to what you're saying, but they just kind of reiterate what they said or whatever it is. And I guess it's kind of just isolated to a teaching situation, but I just thought that was really weird because I'm just asking her a question just to confirm, but maybe she thought in the back of her mind that I was saying that her English sucks or she's wrong or whatever it is, and I don't know. But they do like my accent over at that place though, so that's fine, right? But I don't know how many people like me, I guess, have been working there. Are they really listening? I don't really know. Probably at the end of the day, money talks. I was talking with my coworker about implementing a new and different schedule. The thing is that in Taiwan is that if things are too different for people, then they don't like it, right? So that's something that you kind of have to also take into consideration. This is kind of an example. Like people like pizza, they like tacos, but if you brought in your super ethnic food from some country that they've never heard about before, chances are that it's probably not going to really go because they're going to just be like, what is that? And they just get stuck there. So yeah, it's weird. They just, they listen to you, but do they listen to the real content? Probably not. Tokenism in professional spaces. Expats are invited to speak at events, teach classes, or appear on promotional materials, but often are symbolic outsiders, not as equals with decision-making power. Wow, that's crazy, right? So, you get to sit at the table, but when the big guys are gonna really make a decision about something, then they just tell you to go over here, right? Because they're like, you don't belong, or what it is, or maybe they're talking about something that you don't really understand. And okay, that's fine. You can. That's the thing is like people they say that they're happy, living in Taiwan, and that's cool if you are, but. Are you really happy with that role of just being an outsider, like a token, right? And I don't know. I just feel like there's just something inside of me that I feel that it's still empty about that, right? Because it's like, well, are you really listening to what I'm saying? No, you're not? Okay, well, I can't force you to, know who I really am and whatever it is, right? But, if you just want to listen to whether something in English is correct or not, or if I'm going to do my job, then I guess that's the extent of our relationship. So, expertise dismissed in favor of local hierarchies. This is really interesting. Even highly skilled foreigners in tech, education, or business are frequently overruled by local norms, bureaucracies, and regardless of their expertise. So, you might have that degree from, the States or whatever it is, or maybe some other place in Asia, but then, really at the end of the day, if they're going to be talking about something that is really concerning for them, they're going to say, well, but you don't really understand because this is kind of our thing. And it's kind of this insider and outsider mentality, and you're always going to kind of be like that. But, maybe you don't mind, maybe you're just, they just, you feel special based on what they see. I don't know. It's weird. Like if you're gonna be here for a long time and be like some old dude, like you can kind of use that to your advantage, because they do like old people here. You know, if you get hurt or something and like you screaming around, ow, ow, ow. Like, yeah, I think that most people will probably help you a little bit. Are they gonna necessarily like drive you to the hospital? I'm not really sure, but you know they will help you. You know, there's something here where you talk with them and then they just stop. You know, they either say that I don't understand what you're doing, or they'll stop at why when it comes to something that they're talking about with you. And I don't know if that really makes sense, but it's kind of like they just there's no going forward without something. They don't really try to investigate like something further. They just stop at why, or they get confused and then they just move on to something else, right? Or maybe they change the subject, or maybe they just start talking again. So, you know, all in all, even though you have like the expertise about something, they're gonna just, you know, let it go and say that you are probably in the back of their mind. They're saying that you're not part of the society really, so we won't really listen to you. But they won't say that. They'll just like, oh, really? Yeah, okay. And it's kind of really useless to keep talking to them about it because their ears have already turned off already, and I've noticed that. You know, there's kind of a phrase, you know, people back home would say that I know, you know, stop wasting your breath. And yeah, yeah, it's true. Even though if you're learning the language here, there's some point in time where you just have to stop talking. So I don't know. That's just my opinion anyway. Social inclusion without emotional depth. So foreigners are invited to parties, festivals, casual hangouts, but rarely into deep circles or trust. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And I think this is something that people don't really notice, right? I used to have a buddy of mine who, because I worked for like this online company, and like he works there, and it's weird because they, right before kind of this, the creative circles of things online were overrun with AI, he was hired to like make lesson plans for like online lessons and stuff. And nice guy, they actually put his voice on the voicemail. I don't know if he's gonna hear this, and he probably doesn't even know because I didn't mention his name. But you know, is he gonna get promoted further and further in that company? Probably not. You know, are they gonna, even if he says, yeah, I know how to fix the websites and I know how to use like different coding languages and stuff, they're probably not gonna let him do it. So, you know, if you're a foreigner and you want to kind of like, you know, climb that corporate ladder in Taiwan, I would probably recommend don't. I'd recommend that you find some type of skill or some type of business that you can kind of just do on your own. I know that all the instructions about all that stuff are in Chinese, but, you know, at the same time, you know, you got to do what you got to do. Be, you know, independent in kind of your own circle. And nobody's going to help you really do it. You got to have to do like research about it yourself, which is kind of just meh, but... yeah, it is what it is. Language fluency doesn't equal cultural acceptance. Even foreigners who speak fluent Mandarin or Taiwanese are labeled as foreigners. And regardless of how long they've lived in Taiwan or how much they've contributed. Yeah, that's definitely a truth there too. I don't know if you guys have seen like those TV shows where people are talking in Mandarin on TV, but they're like, you know, foreigners or whatever. And I don't really pay attention to that stuff as much, but I probably should. And it's kind of like this constant battle that even if you do speak Mandarin, that you got to keep pushing and saying like how you understand about what they're doing. And, you know, it's kind of like leading defensively. Like say somebody's going into battle, but they're like pushing their shield forward, that you have to accept what they're talking about first, before you contribute your own ideas. And I mean, you know, it's an island. It's an island mentality, right? So people are going to focus on what's in versus what's out a lot more. And, you know, I mean, that's even for, if you look at some of the structures in Taiwan, you know, they haven't changed in how many years, you know. I had a buddy of mine, and I don't know if he minds saying this. He says like, hey, dude, why do you live in Taiwan? The buildings are old. And it never changes, right? And I mean, it never changes, right? You know, maybe there's some certain areas that are kind of like getting more urbanized and whatever it is, right? But, you know, you go to certain places in Taipei and it's not changing. It's never going to change. And you know, that kind of contributes to that whole cultural acceptance thing is that, their place doesn't change. So, why do they have to invite, new people in to their circle, right? So, like my buddy was saying yesterday, it's all about like this guanxi, right? Guanxi's like, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, and what is my assurance that you will finish the job or do right by me? Well, it's because we had some type of existing relationship, or somebody that I know that is very special, or whatever it is, right? So guys, I just wanted to talk to you guys about how, maybe even if you are really into the culture, but they like your accent, they like where you're from, they think you're really interesting, but do they really take you seriously? I don't know. So something to think about, something to chew on, food for thought. And if you guys have any questions or comments or ideas, then I'll see you next time. Send them to me, and bye for now.